In this video, we'll be looking at the 50 plus new cards that were added to FragPunk since the beta. With all the new cards added to the game, there is now 169 new cards in the game. Before we get into all the new cards, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, because I'll be posting a lot of FragPunk content within the next few days, and even more in the future. And with that being said, let's look at all these new cards. So to look at all of these new cards, we're going to look in the handbook, and as you can see, there's 169 cards in the game now. So we're just going to go through all these and see what's new and what has been in the game already. So I think our first new card will be this one, Infernal Hounds. A fiery hound follows you, attacking nearby enemies. And there is a video for this one, so let's see what this looks like. Oh, look at the tiny little dude. So he's gonna go and he's gonna attack that enemy since he is the nearest guy. And it leaves a fire pool on the ground, which will damage the enemies as well. And that is a really good card. It does 70 damage of enemies in it the whole time. This might be a new card, expose nearby enemies that they're planting. I don't know if this is new or not. Pretty self-explanatory. If it is a new card, it will just ping the enemies that are nearby whenever the bomb is planted. Ricochet was not in the beta, but it was in the alpha, which was like 7 or 8 months ago. So pretty much whenever your bullet is fired, it will ricochet off the walls and the ground, which is an insane card. Freeze bullet, I think this is also a new card. It just makes enemies movement speed minus 55% whenever they get hit, so enemies get extremely slow. What else is new? Eagle eyes, this is also a new one. Expose all enemies in line of sight. So what does this look like? So since there's an enemy right behind the wall, it was exposing them. Oh, that card's a direct counter to Zephyr. Okay, that is an extremely good card. Invest the future, it doubles the shard point gains for that round. Self-explanatory. Here's another new card, Beauty Sleep, which whenever you go to sleep, it'll heal you. I've not used this in game, but you just start laying down on the ground and it does heal you. But we'll see how well this is whenever it's actually used in game. I feel like you might get killed very easily if you do that, but this is definitely an interesting card. Now this card is probably one of my favorite ones that were added. It makes it to where both teams can only use melee weapons for that round. Now I did get to test this card in a few rounds and it was so much fun to use. It really makes it anyone's game whenever this card is in play. And here we go, we got another new one. I think this might be a new one too. I don't remember this. I think this one's also new. Muscle weakness, enemy projectiles fall faster, so whenever people try to throw grenades and stuff, they just can't throw them as far at all. It just drops instantly. So that will really mess up teams that are trying to use their util and stuff. But then this one, for 30 seconds after combat begins, you cannot be exposed, which is really good because there is quite a few characters that can expose people or cards that can also expose people. Here's another really interesting one. King of the Eggs, remain crouched for 10 seconds to lay an egg that can be eaten to regain HP, which is kind of crazy. This is an insane card. So we can see right here, there's a meter being fueled up and they're gonna drop an egg and then they're gonna eat the egg and it gave them 50 HP. So that is just an insane card. And this is another new one. They showcased this one in one of the trailers, but return to sender, when damaged for the first time, enemies are teleported to their spawn point. So we'll see this person get shot and now they got teleported all the way to their spawn, which would be really good if you're attacking, because then you can send a defender to their spawn, or even if you're defending and you shoot an attacker into their spawn. The only downside I can see to this card is if you're wanting to get the kill and not actually send them to their spawn, then you'll lose that. But that card should be pretty good. It should be a pretty good card. Here's another one that they showcased, black hole traps. Traps generate black holes when triggered. So whenever her pool got triggered, it makes a black hole and a poison pool. That's really good. That is extremely good for pathogen. So if you have a pathogen on your team, you definitely want to get that card because that is really good. What is this? This is also a new one. Vampire powers. Gain vampire powers. The power evolves after the team deals enough. Increases your max HP and gain lifesteal. If you evolve it, once your team deals 200 damage, unlock slow HP regen. That is an insane card. That might be one of the best cards in the game, I'm not gonna lie. Stealth Novice. Enemies expose themselves when they enter and exit invisibility by skills. So that is another counter to Zephyr. That's probably why they made Zephyr the way she is now, to where she is completely invisible and doesn't flash herself a few times during her invisibility. Shotgun charge. Charge shells when ADS, so you can just charge a shotgun to deal even more damage. 114 damage with a shotgun from that range is absolutely crazy. That is a crazy card. Let them hear you, the louder the faster. Increase movement speed when using voice chat. What? That is insane. What in the world is that card? I wonder how much faster you actually go with that though. That's really interesting. Small heads. I don't think this one was in the beta either, but it just makes your team's head smaller, which makes it harder for the enemies to headshot you. Pull the plug, which disables all shard cards for this round. Okay, that is a pretty interesting card, because if the other team gets some crazy cards, cards, you can just make it to where they can't use them at all. Prosthetic enhancement, limbs are bulletproof, so that makes it to where the enemies have to headshot you, otherwise they're not going to do any damage. Or body shot. They can still body shot you, but they cannot hit you in the arms or the legs. That is a really cool card. Next, we got stand up straight. Enemies can't crouch or slide. That just forces the enemies to stay standing. Squat master. Every time you crouch, you increase your max HP. I'd assume this definitely has a limit to how much HP you can have. Or you just keep going, I guess. 155. It goes up really slowly, but you can literally just sit in your spawn and just start spam crouching. I'd assume it limits at some point. Surely it doesn't go on forever, because that would be absolutely crazy. Quick charge, melee attack charge time is 50% quicker. Okay, that's a pretty good card. Long-term investment. For every 7 seconds you're alive, shard points plus 0.1. Okay, that's pretty good. So every 70 seconds you're alive, you get a shard point. Not a bad card. Whetstone, melee hits to anyone, including allies, regain HP. So you can just start stabbing your allies and you'll get even more HP. That's another pretty cool card. Sprint fire, hip fire doesn't interrupt sprinting. So you can just start gun blazing on everyone. Okay. Guess who? Enemies can't see damage indicators, so the enemies won't have any idea where the damage is coming from when they're getting shot. Melon rinds, get a throwable melon rind that can make enemies slip. Like, what is this card? That is crazy. So it's like a banana peel, but it's literally a melon rind. Oh, she fell. That is a crazy card. Lifesaver, teammates can be revived once. Okay, that is a really good card. Each dead teammate leaves a soul core behind. Interact with these cores to revive them. Enemies can also destroy these cores. Okay, so that's actually crazy that you can pick up your teammates after they go down. That's also probably one of the best cards in the game, I'm not gonna lie. That is a really good card. Zero compassion. Players with a KD less than 1 gain 10% increased fire rate and 25% damage reduction. Okay, so any of your teammates that aren't performing as well, they'll be able to go crazy. Bigger bombs. I think this is also a new one. I don't remember it being in the beta, but explosion ranges is plus 50%. That'll be once again really good for the explosive characters. Misfire. Every 5 seconds, a random enemy is forced to use their trigger key / button, so it'll just force enemies to shoot. So that's pretty interesting. It will expose where the enemies are, but it could also get you killed. Who knows? Short exposure. Effects that expose you do not last as long. Okay, that's pretty good. It only costs 2 points as well, so that's pretty good. Toxic traps. Each ally can place 1 toxic trap, so pretty much teammates can make these smokes that can damage the enemy, which is definitely really good, especially for defense. That does so much damage. Oh my gosh, that was crazy damage. Psychic diffusing. The converter automatically starts diffusing when defenders are nearby. Oh, that's really good. So you don't even have to actually sit on the diffuser. You can just stand there and still be able to shoot at the enemies and still be defusing. Okay, that's a really good card too. And that's only 3 points. That's crazy. Hidden cameras. Transform into video cameras you can look through. So you can look through these little ball orbs around the map. Okay, that's pretty interesting. I think this is a new one. Efficient conversion. Once planted, time to converter completion is minus 20 seconds. So that's a really good card as well. Morale booster. After planting, replenish all allies' HP and skills to the max. So that's a really good card as well. So you can pretty much, if your team is on really low HP, they'll just get all the way back up as if the round just started. So that's another really good card. Doulahands. Allied heads become invulnerable flames. So that means your teammates cannot get headshot at all. So that would just force enemies to hit you through the body. So that's a really solid card right there, because the headshots do so much damage in this game. Death's Embrace. A Reaper appears behind injured enemies, slashing anyone in range. That's a really crazy card. So basically when enemies get low, the Grim Reaper will just come up behind them and start attacking them. Let's see this. Oh, there he is. Oh, and that's a pretty big range on him too. And he does 75 damage. That's really good. Blast suits. Damage taken from explosive is minus 20%. And if you get 5 orbs on it, then that means that explosives will do literally no damage. Mini mags. Enemy mag sizes and ammo is minus however much percent you use on your shard points. So that's another really good card. Smoke shields. Increase your max HP by staying in smoke. So any characters that have smokes, or you can even use these smoke grenades as well, and it'll increase your shield health. Okay, that's really good. We have not seen shields in the game, I don't think yet, so that's actually really cool. Well, I wonder how the shields will work in the game. Skill treasures. Treasure can now drop items that replenish skill use. Okay, so if you run out of your skill uses, you can get more skill uses from these treasures. All right. Fainting flash. They've shown this in a trailer. Dropping your primary weapon will make it a flashbang. Fragile converter. This is another really crazy card that was added. It makes it so the converter has 1,500 HP, but it can be destroyed. So instead of defusing, you can just shoot it. And it did 800 damage in 1 max. All it takes is 2 max to destroy it. And you don't even have to be like all up on it. You can be shooting it from across the map. Well, not really across the map. You have to be somewhere near it, but you don't have to be right up on top of it to be able to destroy it. Inherit the Wind. Ally skill uses +1. So when ally skill uses get +1 whenever a teammate dies, I'd assume. Alert. Sense nearby enemies. Okay. It triggers after not taking damage for a while. Okay, that's a really cool card. Superhuman. For however many points you put into it, healing, speed increase, and DR provided by skill is +20%, however much points you put into it. So that can be a really good card. That might be one of the best cards in the game too. Using skills reduce round time by 1 second per usage. So any characters that have like a lot of skills, they can just decrease the time a lot. Freestyle placement. Attackers can plant the converter anywhere, but the converting time plus is 40 seconds. That one was in the game before. They can literally plant in their spawn if they wanted to, but it just takes longer for it to get converted. So there's a low risk reward there. Sustained crab walk. When taking continuous damage, the enemy is forced to crouch. So whenever you shoot the enemy, it forces them to crouch so that they can't run. They're just forced to stay crouched. Okay, that can be a pretty good card, especially for Nitro. Tick-tock. After 1 minute, disabled all target sites. Converters can no longer be planted. So it forces the attackers to go and plant the bomb. Otherwise, they cannot plant it at all, and they're forced to just kill the enemies. Airborne Justice. Higher fire rates and reload speed while in midair. Band-Aid solution. Regain a small amount of HP whenever you're injured. Leader of the Dead. Spend your own HP to generate a bio warrior. That sounds crazy. What is this going to even look like? So it costed 30 HP to make a bio warrior, and it's just like a little minion dude that will go and attack enemies. What in the world is that? That looks freaky. That is crazy. Headache vision. Getting headshot exposes all your enemies. Okay, that would be really good, because if you die, that'll make it to where even your teammates can see the enemies. I'm not exactly sure, but that would be a really good card if so. Full moon. Gain werewolf powers. The power evolves after the team deals enough damage. So what in the world are werewolf powers? Injured enemies leave temporary track. Oh, so you can just sense where the enemies went. Okay, that's really good. That's a really good card, especially for only 3 shard points. So then you knew that the enemy ran around that corner. That was a really good card. Two-way portals. Map portals work in both directions. That's really good, because in the beta, portals could only go one way. You weren't allowed to go back through a portal the way that you went. So that's actually another really good card. Hold the pass. Regain HP rapidly when standing on the bridge. Okay, so it is kind of slow. It's not extremely slow. It is pretty fast compared to other health regens, but that's a pretty good card for only being 2 shard points. Drought. Drains on the maps are dry. What does that even mean? Oh, so this map, there's normally water that's running through here, but it makes the drain completely dry. That is interesting. That makes it to where you can't even go up through that way. That's actually a really good card too, especially for that map if you're defending. Sustained exposure. Enemies are exposed when sustaining ongoing damage. So after you shot the enemy, it leaves the enemy exposed for a little bit. That's pretty good. Peace treaty. Dropping your primary weapon grants 70% damage reduction. So that makes it to where you'll just be forced to use your secondary weapon, but I mean, you're taking 70% less damage, so that's pretty good. Heavy armor. A random ally gains a huge HP buff, but their damage is greatly reduced. Oh my gosh, it's a Juggernaut card. They have 1,500 HP, but they do little damage. They're doing kind of barely any damage, but they do have so much HP. That is a broken card. That'll be a really interesting card to see people use. High ground. Damage times 10% when on higher ground than your enemy. Okay, that's pretty good. Swift support. Teleport to a teammate's side, because sometimes you do end up being on the opposite side of the map from your teammate, but then if an enemy's like going to plan on B, you can go to help your teammate a lot quicker. Deadly rewind. Your last few bullets zip back into your gun when you reload. Okay, that's pretty good. So if you need to reload your weapon, your bullets will just come to you a lot quicker. Toy traps. Enemy trap damage minus 50% damage. Okay, that's a pretty good card, especially for only 2 points. Mini traps. Enemy trap range minus 30%. Another really good card. Healing sights. Generate a healing zone on sights for times 2 HP per second. Backup weapon. You can equip another primary weapon to your secondary weapon slot. Okay, that's a really good card too. You can pair up like an SMG with a DMR or a sniper with an SMG, something like that. That would be really good. IP theft. Destroying an enemy trap will generate an identical allied trap. So if you destroy a pew pew, then yeah, it will become your pew pew and it can damage the enemies. That is a really good card as well. Piercing bullets can go through walls once. So that means you can just straight up wall bang enemies. So we can see there's an enemy right there and they are hitting through. That is a crazy good card, especially if you pair that with being able to see enemies through the walls. That's a really good card. Acrophobia. Phobia. When the enemy is mid-air, their bullets do 50% less damage for 2 seconds. So whenever the enemy jumps, then they'll do less damage when in the air. Bad knees, enemies can take fall damage. Portal malfunction disables portals on the map. So that makes it to where enemies can't even use the portals at all, or even your team. Your team won't be able to use the portals either. Coming close to the end, broken bridge disables the bridge on the map, so we'll get rid of the bridge. Weapon ban. Ban a random primary weapon of each type. Wow, that's crazy. That'll just force the enemies to even use the terrible weapons for that round. Bullet trade. Skills can be replenished with weapon ammo. So you can give up some of your ammo to get your weapon skills back. So you can give up some of your ammo to get some of your skills back. Painful motivation. Bullets can damage allies, but increase their movement speed and fire rate. So it adds friendly fire. Oh, so you have to shoot your teammate to increase their movement speed and fire rate. Oh, it only did 5 damage to him though, but that was through their shield damage. Okay, that's a really interesting card. That could be a really good card. We'll have to see how that one gets played out. Spreading smoke. Smoke size plus 50%. That's a really good card. Lingering smoke. Smoke duration is doubled. That's another really good card. Foot dragging. Enemy movement speed minus 3% for however many times you add to the card. Weak jumps. Enemy jump height is minus 10% for every time that you put a card in here. And dimensional travel. This is another one of the craziest cards in the game. All players can travel between 2 worlds, and players in each world are invisible to each other. So you'll be able to go through a different dimension, and you cannot see that enemy unless he also is in the same dimension as you, which it also gives the map this cool looking Borderlands type look, which I really like. That'll be a fun card to use, and it'll be really interesting to see what plays people pull off with that card. That's it for all the new cards in the game. Let me know what you think of all these cards in the comments down below, and let me know which cards are your favorite. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And with that being said, I'll see y'all later.